Hey guys, so today we're going to be looking at people who were almost murdered. So yeah, let's just get right into the video. When I was an early teenager, I went to a friend's house whose older sister was having a party. It had alcohol, but very limited. Her parents were home and we mostly played video games and cards, but more people than expected showed up, including some people who had already graduated. This one guy was a former high school jock loser who started in on making fun of me or hitting on me. The parents asked him to leave and he did, making a bit of fuss but eventually walking out. I was all upset and crying and wanted to go home, but home was a mileage walk through some woods and dark roads, so her parents told me they would drive me home in a bit when the party was over. I was still upset and I was very dumb, so after a bit I snuck out and walked home. A few hundred yards from my house, someone hit me with something. I was told it was a baseball bat and stabbed me in the stomach several times. I do not remember any of this, nor do I remember someone finding me bleeding in a ditch and taking me to the hospital. If I had been there for much more time, I probably would have bled out and died in a ditch. Wait, who would have done that? The guy who was hitting on them? And they were sad because they got rejected? I mean, that's the only guy I'm thinking of right now, because why would someone just do that to them? Like, what? Someone would just wait for someone to walk by to hit them and then stab them for absolute no reason? And they didn't even get robbed kind of thing. That's weird. My partner tried to strangle me. I was already seeing black and a few stars in the black universe on my way to death. Then the police rang the doorbell and he stopped. The neighbor, an 11-year-old boy, called the police. He had his room directly at the house close by and he could see through the window. He saved my life and the life of my unborn baby. Good for the little kid. I'm so glad he knew what to do. I hope their ex-partner is literally rotting in prison right now. The sad reality is that's probably not the case and they're just chilling at home somewhere. I got jumped by 3 guys outside a bar in Seattle. I was holding my own till one of them shot me in the head. After that, they all scattered. And they survived. What a freaking warrior. Seriously? That's crazy. They survived a bullet to the freaking head. Yo. But then again, I've heard quite a few stories of people actually surviving getting shot in the head. Like, it actually hasn't hit the brain yet from the angle that it was shot. Scary. Way back in 8th grade, another student attempted to stab me in the throat. The situation was the teacher left the room for a few minutes. I don't remember why, but it's not important. The friend sitting next to me got up to talk to someone on the other side of the room, but left all his things, including a completed homework assignment that was due in our next class. The girl sitting in front of us turned around and grabbed it. Now, while we weren't close friends, I had always considered myself on good and friendly terms with this girl. I made a comment along the lines of, "Hey, don't copy his work, do it yourself." But I completely meant it in a joking way, as I often joked with her and thought she was taking it to check his answers against hers. She responded in a rather blunt tone, "Why don't you mind your own business?" I don't know why I said it. I don't know why it came to my mind, and I do absolutely regret it, but I just blurted out, "Why don't you go eat a donut?" Again, I don't know where that came from. If it was a line from a show or cartoon buried in the back of my mind, but there's no real excuse for saying it. We jokingly made fun of each other a lot, but I never had once made fun of her weight before this. Anyway, she didn't respond. She simply stood up and walked away. I sat there for a minute or two before I heard someone across the room shout my name, followed by a "look out." Still sitting at the desk, I turned my head just in time to see her behind me with her arm raised that she thrusted down towards me. She had gotten up to go sharpen her pencil before coming back behind me to attempt to stab me in the throat. I got both of my arms up in time to stop her and slightly redirect the trajectory of the pencil, but it still grazed my neck, scraping the skin and causing some minor bleeding. But luckily, it didn't penetrate my throat like she was intending. I sat there holding off the arm holding the pencil while she pounded me in the head with her other hand for a few minutes until a couple of teachers rushed in following the commotion and were able to pull her off. That girl is actually mental. In the end, she was only suspended for a week, but was removed from my class when she came back. I did play down the event when talking to school administrators because I felt bad about what I said to instigate it, because again, I did feel like we were friendly before this, and didn't want her to get expelled with less than a month left in the school year. I found out after the fact from others in the class that she had previously killed her stepfather at a young age after a few years of enduring physical abuse from him. Apparently, this was common knowledge to most of the class who had grown up around her, but I had no idea as I had just transferred into that school for that 1 year. So yeah, even though she very much tried to kill me, I still feel bad for her. Yo, that's so sad. Maybe now she takes everything, like any insult, any physical abuse, as, you know, if you're gonna do this to me, I'm actually gonna kill you kind of thing. Because she killed her stepfather and then she didn't have to go to prison for it kind of thing. But why is she back at school? Shouldn't she go get help? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? What's going on with the schools over there? Huh? She literally came back to school after she tried to stab a kid in the neck. What's going on? Hello? Like, no one's seeing this? No one's seeing this as like, this girl actually needs help. We need to help her kind of thing. Everyone's just like, just let her be. Nighttime, I left from my location and turned onto a main road when I had the green light. I stayed in the lane I was in for a couple miles when suddenly someone overtook me and cut me off from the other lane. Whatever, I don't like to speed in that area because it's a known speed trap. Because he's speeding, there was quite a bit of distance between us. As we both approached the red light soon after, that person felt like I was following him too closely as we approached the intersection, and suddenly he slammed his brakes. Because of the adequate distance between the two of us, I did not have to slam my brake, but just came to a quicker stop while still leaving enough room between the two of us. Since he broke suddenly to try and check me, he still had much more room before the intersection, so he creeped up slowly to a line. Weeded out, I kept my distance. We made our left turn. He pulled to the far right lane and slowed down thinking I was going to pass him. Well, I had to turn right, so I was also into the far right lane. After we made the right turn again, he pulled off to the side and let me pass. Then, as soon as I passed, he pulls behind me, tailing me hard and turning on his high beams. Obviously, this was trouble, so I drove past the street to go to my house and continued driving. A minute later, he pulls off to a side street. I kept driving up a hill and thought he left me alone. So at the top of the hill, I turned to go back down, thinking it was safe. Apparently, he was still there and started following me again, this time being more aggressive. I thought to drive to a well-lit place like a gas station, but I thought continuing to drive would anger him more, so I pulled off to the side immediately. He then pulls next to me and gets out of his car. I roll down my window and calmly ask him, "Hey man, what's going on?" He walks towards me, pulls a gun from his waistband, and shoves his gun in my face. Literally, the end of the gun was pressed up against my cheek. He starts yelling and swearing at me, saying I was tailing him. I obviously was not, and that I was putting his family at risk. Meanwhile, his girlfriend was yelling at my ex-wife for looking at them while they were yelling at me. Obviously, at this point, it's not a matter of who's right or wrong. I just want to get my wife and I out safe. So I apologized multiple times over and over, just saying, "Hey, I don't remember doing that, but I'm sorry I did." After what felt like 5 minutes of that, it was probably less, he pulled his gun away. I shook his hand and let him drive off. That's freaking scary. I mean, to find out if someone's just following you, just drive in a freaking circle, right? Just because someone is behind you doesn't mean they're following you. How scary is that? Like, imagine going in the same direction as someone and then they think you're tailing them and then they pull a gun to your freaking face. I was just trying to get home. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell's going on? Scary. My ex-wife was behind the wheel of her car with the door open. I was standing between her and the door trying to talk to her. She reversed, hid out of the parking lot, and the door knocked me back. She then floored it straight at me as I was trying to get up. Only recourse was to jump on the hood. Got my fingers on one hand in the hood lip by the windshield and hung on for dear life. Got thrown off and hit my back and head against the curb when she ran around a curve in the apartment complex. She ran before she got tracked down by the SPs on the base we worked at. I don't know how fast she was going, probably not more than 15 to 25, but don't let the action movies fool you. Jumping on a hood is neither easy nor fun, it's terrifying. What the hell? Their wife almost murdered them. Like, what, for no reason, you know? You guys are not together anymore, there's no point. I had sex with a girl I met at work. She apparently had a boyfriend that found out about her infidelity. He was stalking me for months that followed. One night, I looked outside my window and saw the guy standing in the shadows beside my house. I didn't leave out of fear for quite some time. The guy was later executed for several unrelated murders he committed. I would have been one of them had I not seen him hiding that night. Wow. Okay. Scary. I had an abusive girlfriend when I was in college. She was several years older than me and took advantage of the fact, doing all kinds of things like cheating on me, hitting me, isolating me from my family. She was probably a clinical psychopath. Knowing I didn't have the common sense and experience to leave or to understand this wasn't normal. One day we were having a bad argument by text, and for some reason I agreed to meet her in the parking lot of the building where I worked. She had driven there and was in the midst of a bipolar meltdown and was enraged. The argument continues in person, her inside her vehicle with her window down and me standing outside of it. Suddenly she gets this look in her eye, puts the car in gear, and I realize without thinking it that she's going to try to run me over. I step up onto a curb as her car lurches past me. She backs up and straightens her car out to try again, and I go the other way. At this point, the bipolar episode has kicked into gear. And I think now, realizing what she was doing, she starts banging her own face against the steering wheel, crying while the horn beeps with every hit. I stayed with her for another 5 months after that. It's been over 10 years, but psychological abuse is a bitch, and I hope I never see her or hear from her again for the rest of my life. Wow. Yeah, she's a psycho. The fact that she wasn't getting her way and she just decides what, she's going to run him over now. People are actually freaking crazy. If there's like a sign that your partner's like crazy, right? Slowly try to get out of it. Get help. Because man, I feel like if he stayed, yeah, he probably would have died in his sleep. For sure. Well, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me in the comments down below what your thoughts are. And as always, thanks for watching. Hope you guys liked it. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.